Hello, my name is Emma Matthewson.
Hi, I'm Ellen.
I am Alex Riddle.
Hi, my name's Pippa Poole.
My name is Courtney.
I grew up loving the Mr. Men books. I learned a huge deal from the guys in Mr. Land, mainly about not judging a book by its cover. You know, you might look at someone and think, oh, there's Mr. Uppity, or oh, it's Little Miss Late, but actually there's a lot going on behind the scenes for all of us. You know, even Mr. Tickle contains multitudes, so a classic.
The book I grew up loving and still love now is The Secret Garden by Frances Hodgson Burnett. And the reason it stayed with me is because it features 3 children who are from very different backgrounds and are variously loved, unloved, and lonely. And yet, between them, once they come into this magical crucible that is the secret garden, they come to understand each other and see each other. And it's such a marvellous journey for them and for me personally as a reader. I loved it, still love it now.
So a book I grew up loving is The Bed and Breakfast Star by Jacqueline Wilson. I think most books by Jacqueline Wilson are great for teaching kids empathy. Her characters experience a lot of difficult things like grief, experience in the foster care system, homelessness. The character in this book, Elsa, she experiences childhood homelessness. She lives in a hotel with her family. Getting to read about these characters and being able to relate to these characters taught me to put myself in the shoes of those who are less fortunate than I.
So a book that I really grew up loving and I think makes you more empathetic is Heather Morris's The Tattooist of Auschwitz. I read it when I was a teenager and I think it depicts the sort of the brutality of the concentration camp and Lael's experiences, but also just the love that humans can show for one another. So I just think any teenager would just really sort of feel empathy for Lael and what he goes through.
I grew up loving Mallory Blackman's Noughts and Crosses. I just think it's a book that when anyone gets their hands on it, it becomes a formative read for them, and it taught me so many lessons about empathy and about rights and wrongs, and it's stuck with me until now.
So the book I'm reading at the moment is Joan Didion's collection of essays, Slouching Towards Bethlehem. It's a collection of essays that she wrote in the early to late 60s about life on the West Coast and hippie culture, with a few personal essays about self-respect and morals.
I stumbled across this recently, We Stand With Ukraine. It's an anthology of personal essays, reflection and poetry by a group who come together each day in Dublin to protest against the invasion of Ukraine, and have kind of come together to find a collective community, a voice. And I just think it's a shining example of putting empathy and energy and just pointing it in the right direction.
The book that I'm reading now is Crossing the Line by Tia Fisher, a really courageous and remarkable verse novel. It's a fantastic read, really powerful. Any teenager and their parent or their carer or anyone who cares about a teenager, really, it's worthwhile reading.
I'm reading The Book Eaters by Sonia Dean, and it's a sort of a fantasy horror story all about fairy tales, stories, but it depicts sort of the lengths that a mother will go to protect her son, so I think it's really empathetic read. Really fast-paced, really gripping. Anyone who loves books, it's very much about sort of people that eat books as their source of food and source of energy. It's really different.
I'm currently reading I Will Not Be Erased by Galdem, which is a print and online magazine that's sadly not around anymore. It's basically a run of joyous and life-affirming essays from the talented girls at Galdem and just about their lives as people of colour.
I absolutely love this book. Jess French's Beastlands. I only have the bookmark, not the book itself. It is just a really fun, rip-roaring adventure. A book that will make you care for your friends and care for nature. David Attenborough would probably love it. You will too.
For Empathy Day, I would recommend The Spaces in Between by Jaspreet Kaur. It's a beautiful book that really helps kids deal with anxiety and their emotions, especially in a post-lockdown world where the hustle and bustle definitely causes some anxiety, and it helps them just find a little bit of joy.
I have known Lem Sissay for many years, and the book that I would really recommend is this, Little Beauty, Let the Light Pour In. It's based on poems that Lem wrote every day, and they are just little jewels of delight, and I absolutely love it. I recommend it to anybody who just needs a little bit of optimism in the day.
Book I would recommend for Empathy Day is The Shame Machine by Cathy O'Neill. The Shame Machine is about the systems of shame in our world that are unproductive and help keep people down. This book kind of discusses the diet industry, addiction and rehab. It also really explores how shame is approached online and how internet pylons can actually do more harm than good.
So a book that I would recommend for World Empathy Day is King of Nothing by Nathaniel Lizzul. As well as being sort of a hilarious comedy, it's also really heartwarming. It touches on topics such as toxic masculinity, teenagers going through grief. So I think that any teenager would sort of start to think more about what their friends are going through and really sort of empathise with the story.